Hey everybody, welcome to Note Investing 101 with Fred Rui and
Tracy Z.
There we go. It was just my job to start the show. You're
all right.
Anyway, so if you've been following along, this is like our 7th one that we've done of this. We're just kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit, unveiling the basic how-tos, fundamentals of the note industry, why we like it so much. We have a combined 50 years experience in the industry. You'll find anybody you talk to that has worked with us, we're pretty much no nonsense. We're going to tell you the way it is, and we've done that on every session, and this one not to be excluded of that.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about taking your note business online, and that has changed, right? When I got started in the note business in 1988, there weren't a lot of websites running around.
There wasn't an online much.
Al Gore hadn't invented it yet, right?
That's right.
So we had our first website of our own personal website, I think 1997. We got involved with websites for the note business earlier than that with our corporate job, but our own personal website we started in 1997. Then we kind of went into doing a blog, and we've really expanded it. It's been a big part of our growth in the last 10, 15 years. And so today we're here to talk a little bit about how to take your note business online.
Yeah, but first, the usual disclaimer, as far as that we are not attorneys. We don't pretend to be on TV. We don't pretend to be on YouTube. We are not securities people. We are not accountants. We are not going to give you legal advice or financial advice. You need to do that on your own. Did I leave anything else
I think you covered it all. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about marketing your note business.
Yeah. So first what we want to do is go through some questions, the most popular questions when it comes to running an online note business. And then we're going to actually walk you through some sites and show you some demos and some things of how you want to build them yourself. So very first off is, do I need a website, and what's the purpose of a website related to notes? The short answer to that in the very beginning is I hope we're not talking anymore about whether someone should have a website when it comes to a company.
Yes. Everybody, in our opinion, any business, not just the note business, pretty much needs a website. Now, there are some exceptions. Every once in a while, you'll hire somebody off Facebook Marketplace or something that doesn't have a website. But in the financial world, when you're buying someone's important asset, like a real estate note, they want to know that you're real. And the way that they will see if you're real is they'll go out on the internet and search for you. And so you do want to have a professional looking website. Now, good news, you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars anymore to get a professional looking website. But besides just looking professional, it's other benefits to having a website too.
Yeah, I think it's guaranteed credibility, as you're saying. Basically, people are going to go and check you out. But, it's working 24/7.
Yeah.
When we started a website long ago, like Trace said, in 97, it was kind of an experiment. It really was just, I don't know that people are going to do this, but
we thought it was cool.
Well, yeah. And now people go out not only to see if you're real, they're searching for information. They're searching for information about the note industry, about their current situation. And a lot of times that is after hours. That is at 2 a.m. when they're stressed and worried about what to do. That's when they're looking for the solutions. And you're not going to be there on the phone. So your website is doing the talking for you. The other thing about a website is that you have to remember, people say, well, this is a people business, and it is a people business, but nothing replaces, talking to somebody one-on-one. And the purpose of a website, and this is, by the way, I think this is true of all advertising, and I've done entire sessions about this. The only purpose of your website is to give enough information for the credibility and get them to want to talk to you and learn more. And that's it. So a lot of times people think, oh, they get overwhelmed by a website, or I need too much. Yes, you want to educate. Yes, you want them to know about you, but it only has one goal, and that's to get them on the phone.
And the other great thing about a website is most of us work from home. Some people have physical office space. We've done both over the years. But the nice thing about a website, it's kind of like your brick and mortar business. You don't have to have a brick and mortar business, but it's like your office space, but online. And it just adds that level of credibility. And as Fred said, it works 24/7, so people can get information and actually submit a request for quote. Woke up in the morning and had people requesting quotes on notes just off of our website.
Yeah, and it's the great equalizer. So no one knows when they go, if you have a good looking website, it doesn't have to be all the bells and whistles. Sometimes you can overkill it in that, but a good looking website, I don't know whether there's 2 employees behind that website or 200,000 employees behind that website, and you're all on an equal playing field. So the other question is what platform should my website be on? This may be a bit of a advanced question for some of you going, well, wait a minute, I didn't know there were multiple things. I just knew the internet. And there are a couple different things out there. Do you want to talk about this though in relation to WordPress?
Well, we have a preferred preference. We like using the WordPress platform to build our websites. It's the self-hosted version. And so you have hosting and an SL certificate and your own domain name. But we like WordPress because we find it's simple for most people to use. And we found over the years with its blog feature, you have the ability to post articles, that it's very search engine optimized friendly. Now, that is not the only type. Some people like to program HTML. Some people like Wix. Some people like GoDaddy's website builder. There's lots of other choices out there, but we really like WordPress because you can find lots of professionals out there to help you with it. And we find the interface is very easy, and the search engines like Google like it.
Yeah, and I think that for me, one of the biggest takeaways, as Tracy said, is that, you know, it's easy for you to work on. It's easy that, you know, you might see there's so many themes out there. You can go, oh, I love the look at this. You can buy it, bolt it on. And then the nice thing is when you want to make changes, you're not paying somebody $50, $100 an hour. You see, oh, I want to make a change. The back interface of that is going, oh, I want to change my phone number. I want to change my address, or I want to change a sentence. It's very easy to use behind the scenes. So that's why it's a platform, in addition to the fact Google loves it, it's streamlined and everything else.
It's a little hard at the beginning to get the site set up, but and sometimes it's to your benefit to buy a pre-made theme or to hire someone to implement the theme. But once it's set up and operational, it's very simple to go in and post a new article. And then you have that article that you can go share out on social media.
Yeah. So next question, if you're just starting out and you're searching for where can I get a website, you probably see a lot about free sites, you know, companies that offer you a free site. If you buy the domain name there, which is whatever the name of your company is, ours is, you know, noteinvestor.com or whatever it is for you. And, you know, they'll say, hey, if you buy that here, you can have a free website or you can have a free email. And we're just going to tell you, one, it doesn't cost a lot to host a website, and it doesn't cost a lot to build a website, but there are a lot of traps that go along with a free site.
Yeah, a lot of times if they're offering it for free, because there is a physical cost associated with a domain name and hosting, then if they're offering it for free, it's usually because either you don't get to have your own domain, your own website, you're sharing resources, or perhaps it's because they're going to put a bunch of advertising on your site, which is just going to distract your customer. So we recommend you buy a domain name. They only cost about $15 a year, and then you get hosting. And so we get Flywheel hosting. There's lots of other hosting companies out there. Somebody will say they like GoDaddy. Some will say that they like HostGator. Some like Bluehost, but the thing is, you don't want to be on this big shared hosting platform. You want hosting, you want to be able to have an SSL certificate, and that ranges about under $150 a year for that kind of hosting. And then you want an email at your domain name, and that is usually provided by an email provider at your domain name. It's usually different than hosting. Sometimes it's combined with it.
Yeah, and the other thing about free sites that I think it becomes the even bigger issue is what happens when you outgrow them and want to move it. Yeah. And this is super, super popular. You are, because of the paperwork and everything, a lot of times you're held hostage there. Yeah. They may own your URL and you didn't know that. So you've built this business and you think you own the URL, and now you go to move it or do something like, oh no, you can't do that. You know, we own the URL. Or you want to move it if you do own the URL, and they're offering these astronomical prices to move your own, to release it in your own URL. So I would avoid the free sites. There may be a couple good ones out there. Off the top of my head, I'm not going to recommend anybody because everybody's changing every day. But if you have a question, you can certainly email one of us, either Fred at Note Investor or Tracy at Note Investor or info@noteinvestor.com. And, you know, we'll be glad to try and steer you in the right way if we can.
Well, we're not going to steer you towards a free site, though.
No.
We don't think long-term that's good for your business. Yeah.
So what should my website contain?
Well, all kinds of good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It should contain a contact us page, very important, so people can get a hold of you. It should contain an about page. There's some basic pages that should be on a website. I think in the note business, it should contain a quote request worksheet. It should describe a frequently asked questions page. So it's got 5 or 6 main pages like that. And then I think it should have an article section, like some people call it blog, that you can try to post something at least once a month, preferably every other week. If you're really feeling gung-ho, once a week, but at least once a month, to show that you're keeping things up to date and fresh.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you think should be on there?
Well, you pretty much named everything. Pictures? I don't know. No, I think you pretty much named. You pretty much covered everything. Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of all those things, and we're gonna walk through those in just a minute anyway.
And now you can add video. You can upload video to say YouTube or Vimeo, and then you can share it, embed it on your website. So video would be another more advanced technology, but you don't have to do that. But all the WordPress sites are compatible with that.
How much does it cost?
Oh, well.
So it depends. It could be free. You could do it yourself. I'm not going to say free completely though, because yes, you can do most of it free, but you are going to have to buy a domain. Like Tracy says, anywhere from $9.95 to $15.95 a year. You're going to have to buy some sort of hosting, which at the base level is probably going to be somewhere around $10 a month. At the high level, somewhere around, well, let's see, 10. No, actually, 10 to 15 maybe, so somewhere between say 75 and $100 for a decent hosting. And then you're probably going to want to buy a theme, which there are free themes out there that are very good. By the way, there's a big difference between a free website and a free theme. If you find a theme that you like that's free, then that's certainly good. But if you want to have one built, you're probably going to get quotes of anywhere from, I don't know, $1,000 to $2,000. I'm going to tell you right now, on a average custom site, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you're more that side of the business, but if you're spending more than $750 for a custom site, you probably have a lot of bells and whistles on it.
Yeah, so we do have, because we've gotten so good at building websites, and we found that our members had a need for websites because they were getting charged $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for a simple website. We actually created a division of our company that helps people set up their Note Buyer website. It's run by our daughter, and we decided we were going to try to provide people a platform to have a website just like we had with noteinvestor.com for an affordable entry level. And so, yes, if you wanted a custom site, those start at the $8.99, like Fred mentioned, but we have ready to go Note Buyer website templates that are only $497. And we actually offer a discount to our Note Investing Tools members as well. So I only mention that because there are affordable options out there. We're not the only ones that provide that. But that is at notebuyersites.com.
Yeah, and we'll show you that. We'll use it as an example as we get through there. Next question is, it's a big question actually. How do I get visitors to my website? Because just having a website alone doesn't necessarily work.
That's very true. There are many strategies for it. You have to realize that you can't just build it and they will come. You still have to market your website. It's just like if you had a brick and mortar office, you might have a couple people that happen to walk by, but you would have to advertise and market that your business is there. It's the same way with your website. So there are several strategies for that. You can do offline methodology to bring people to your website. So that might be your networking or your referrals or your direct mail. So that would be one way. There's also online methods to drive people.
Yeah, you can advertise. I mean, you can pay per click. You can pay for an ad on Google and immediately have somebody click through it. You can have alliances with other people where maybe you're doing banner swaps if that's something you want to do. You have the SEO aspect of it.
And SEO stands for search engine optimization. Now that's gotten harder and harder over the years, but it does still work. You have to just be consistently adding fresh, new, unique content. Preferably, we used to say over 350 words, but then we said over 500 words, but now we're really talking 750 to 1,000 words of good quality, unique content that you add. And if you consistently add content that uses good SEO practices, then you will slowly but surely work your way up in the rankings. But there is some longevity that it takes now compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, and I want to save somebody watching this money right now. You're going to get contacted when you have a website. Someone's going to promise to get you number one on the, first on the rankings, and for, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, you're going to be there. It's not going to happen. Unless the only way to be on number one page of Google is if basically you buy AdWords. You have an advertising budget. You're paying so much for someone to click on it and things like that. But people that say that they're going to optimize your website to get you number one and all this other stuff, that game has sailed. When someone says, oh, we're going to do this keyword stuffing, where it used to put, if you put notes 500 times in there in the hidden text and nobody can see it, that ship has sailed. It's not there anymore. So just save yourself some money, do a little bit of research, and realize that is just not where to direct your efforts.
We have a question from watchers.
Yeah. If you add a squeeze page, how do you collect the data?
There are lots of choices. That's a great.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, that is a great. So I'll start with the simplest version, then I'll let Fred talk about a more complex version. But a simple
Why do I
version,
get the complex version?
because that's right up your alley.
Oh, okay.
So the simple version that all our websites come with, it's called a input form. We use gravity forms, and people input their information, and it is stored in the website, and it sends you an email to let you know that someone did that, and then you can manually respond back to them. That's the very simplest form, but there are some really cool automated ways that it all happens for you. You want to talk about those?
Yeah, I'm real big in automation of it though. And I suggest, by the way, from an expense standpoint, you pretty much start out where Tracy is talking about, because it's the simplest and it's the cheapest and it's the easiest. When you get going though, what I like is I like automating everything. So the way I automate it is that same thing, and I'll show you an example this here as we go into the websites, but basically when they've put in their input, it triggers off things in my contact management system. So it collects their name, their email, whatever data I want specifically collected. And then what happens is that they go into an email sequence per se. So like, they'll get a welcome email. Hey, thanks for that. Thanks for requesting this. It'll create a system of triggers. Maybe it sends them a video. Maybe it gives them a certain tag when they watch the video. Maybe it sends them an email when they don't watch the video versus when they did watch the video. And it automates all that behind the scenes, and I love that. And there's some very inexpensive ways to do that. You can do that at a very basic level with something like a MailChimp or an Aweber. You can also get into something like a Kartra, which is what I use, which is going to cost a little bit more, but basically can also create the landing pages and everything else for you. And I'll show you some examples of that as we get into it. But that's a great question. Yeah.
It is a great question. I always say, start with the inexpensive, and then when the manual methodology takes too long to keep up with, then you've got enough business going that you want to pay for the automation.
Yep. All right. Let's jump in. Let me screen share real quick and kind of jump into a couple of these to show you exactly what we have going here. I'm going to look and make sure. Yeah, you guys can see the screen. Okay. So this is actually, if you go to notebuyersites.com, this is the place that actually shows you where we have these sites that Tracy mentioned. These are turnkey sites. Now, these are not custom to only you. Anybody buys them, then they get the same site. Obviously, we customize, your name and phone numbers and things like that. But basically, this is you just want a presence online, and then you build from there. So this kind of gives you a quick start, if you will, a turnkey operation. So the first thing you would do is you kind of look at themes. And I'm going to show you, and you can build these yourself, but these are different themes. You get to choose whatever kind of look and feel works for you. And I'm just going to jump into one. So I'm just going to jump into confidence because that's one of our newest ones. So this is exactly what a website would look for you. So that only it would have your name, your information. But let's talk about a couple basic things that need to be in here. First of all, there needs to be, something in the beginning that's kind of warm, fuzzy. You can see right out of the gate is a request to quote. So it would say, hello, we are, insert your company name here, and we're here for you. But you want action items right out of the gate. You can see at the very top, cash for your note. There's a contact us. There's a sell your note to, today right here. When we go to the next tab, there's another get started today. When you go to the next tab that scrolls through, it's get help now. So you really, if they click, I need some help right now. And so now they're gonna click through and maybe request a quote. And wow, right out of the gate, it gives us some options on what they can do. So, how requesting a note analysis is easy. Now, remember, we talked about people being on this in the middle of the night. This gives them several options.
Yes, and so they can download a PDF, they can call, or the option we like is the online worksheet. So if you go to the online worksheet, this is the information that they would give you so that you could start to work up a quote. So if somebody wants to sell their real estate note, this is mostly geared for people who have sold property with seller financing, then they could provide the basic information. You'd be able to get back to them with a quote. So that is one of the great things. Then, of course, you've got a contact us page that's up there. That has your information. Obviously, this is just demo content, so it wouldn't say Note Buyer Sites 8. It would be your logo, your company name. But it gives you an idea what should be on there. And then, of course, we've got a blog, the about page. Fred went there. That's all right.
I guessed where you were going.
And so this is the blog, and this is just a little excerpt of the articles. One of the cool things about these websites, it comes preloaded with 15 articles and about like 5 pages. And so it's ready to use content that you can modify to make your own, or you can use as is.
Yeah, so let me just walk through the homepage a little bit where we talked about there were, we kind of got off on the several different access points here, but tell us about your company, what it means in this particular theme. And again, all the themes look a little bit different and the colors can be changed, but in this particular theme, working with us means 1, 2, 3, leaving your headaches behind, getting your money now, and you're with professionals. Again, request a quote, and then latest blog posts, as Tracy mentioned, these are articles that are right here on your website. Well, when someone goes, well, wait a minute, what would be 5 reasons I would offer owner financing? And then it's an actual article on there. And they can go to multiple articles. And then, as Tracy said, and I cut off of it real quick, was just the about page where it would have, you, maybe a picture of you, your name, your bio, things like that. So this is an example of the basics that you would at least want in a site.
Absolutely. And so all of our sites have the same basic content. They just have different themes that have different home pages, really, just different looks and feels. Some people like to modify these and add some customized content to speak to investors. And I kind of like that new real estate theme that she just did too. I think that was theme 4. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's always a nice one too. Looks very much like a real estate theme. Yeah, if you scroll down. So you can, of course, change out any of the photos. Our web team does that at no additional cost. As long as you do it at setup, you can switch out photos. You can switch out colors. It can all be customized to match your colors. Yeah, I do too.
Like the colors in this one.
Yeah.
So here's another one. And again, this is a sidebar. So this lists the articles on the left side, but then, they can click on any of the recent posts. Plus it always has this get in touch right away here. So we know how to get a hold of somebody. And
somebody asked about the opt-in. So both the quote sheet and the contact us page have a simple form. And those forms, when somebody does that, it goes into the back end of your website. And then that notifies you, and then that can be exported as well. So you can export that. And if you want to get fancy, like Fred said, you can actually integrate it with a MailChimp or a Kartra. So when that fills out, it tags it to add it to that database.
Yeah. So give you an example of that. So Note Investor, and many of you that are actually getting the notifications for when we do these, you probably came in here at some point. And one of the things you'll see, like this is how we do an opt-in on some of our pages. So you can see someone actually has what I call a bribe. Tracy says it's an incentive, but basically it is something to encourage them to give our email. Now, this is not necessarily directed at note sellers specifically. You would go to another site for that, but this does have, more towards investors. But if they click on this, it opens up this form. And if they put in their name and the email in there, then they get taken on to, they get to download the information, and all that happens behind the scenes. And what immediately happened after that was they went into an email funnel.
Yeah.
So all those things exist as they go through there. So you can have something fancy like that, or you can just have something simple to form. And as Tracy said, what kind of dictates that is, well, how many emails are you getting?
Yeah.
If you're getting 10 emails a day, then yeah, you probably want to automate that. If you're getting 1 or 2, then that's something you can keep up on.
Then you can email them manually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, that's kind of a walkthrough of some of the websites anyway. So thank you for following along on that. Now, any of those you can build, like the turnkey sites we told you we have what, $497 or something, and that sets you up within like 72 hours, assuming we get all the questions answered. Or you can build it yourself. You can go out and search for WordPress. You want self-hosted, and you want to go find a theme that you like, and then you start changing and building all the content on it.
Yes, and the great thing about the websites is, you build it, you own it, it's on your domain, it has an SSL certificate, it comes with 1 year of hosting. You do have to purchase the domain name, and then after that, renewing your hosting ranges between $96 and $120 a year, basically, and then you just renew your domain name. The only thing you have to remember is you do need to get, if you want to use an email at your domain name, it just has to go through your domain provider. So websites are a great thing. We love them. If you go out and do very many searches in Google, you'll see that noteinvestor.com pops up a lot. And the noteinvestor.com website is built on the exact same WordPress themes and platforms that we use to do the note buyer site. So we give you the same kind of things that we use to promote our own business. So we don't provide something that we don't, use and believe in ourselves. So yeah, and so we invite you to go to noteinvestor.com/101. That's where you get all the updates for what's going on with noteinvestor.com. And maybe just for a few moments, let's just do a little bonus discussion about why websites are so great for sharing content.
Sure.
For social media. Yeah. So we use that a lot. So when we post a new article, then we'll go out to our social media platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram, and we'll share a link to that blog post. And so it's good information. That's what I think social media, at least in our industry, should be about, is sharing information and educating. I don't think social media is about a sell so much as people get to know, like, and trust you. And so that is another way that if you write articles and blogs on your website, you can bring their visitors back to your website.
Yeah, and it's also understand social media is kind of a blip on the radar. So let's say you write an article, or you buy a website like ours that comes with 15 articles. It's not a share it once and never get to share it again. Chances that if you have 100 people in Facebook that follow you and you post that, maybe 7 will see it, and then based on their reactions, maybe 14 will get to see it. But the bulk of people won't see it. Twitter, even less people are going to see it. So you have the opportunity of sharing that every 6 weeks or 5 weeks or 4 weeks, share that same article, do a different title, not different title, but do a different reason or why you're sharing it on Facebook, a different, I don't know, what would you call that? Like if you're doing a different post, but linking to that same article, you can recycle that. You can have excerpts of it. You can ask different questions that point to them. We have a whole part of our company that does social media services for people in the note business. And it does a lot of reusing those articles and getting it where you look like you're active that way. And we're talking about Facebook. LinkedIn is great for being able to share that. Twitter's okay, but not so much for deal flow. But some of it is really, just being seen in lots of locations. Search engines like Google and stuff like that, they pay attention to that. They see if you're active on other platforms that aren't just their own. And that does have some weight.
It does, absolutely. And then you can go another step further. You could list your website and your business on Google business pages, Facebook pages, LinkedIn has business pages. So all of those create valuable links. Think of them like breadcrumbs back to your website. So that is the sort of thing search engines look for. One thing to think about if you do get a website, remember it comes with content that other people have used. So that's great when you're setting up a brochure site just to get started. But if you want to go to that next level, that extra effort, then you would want to go through and rewrite the content so it's unique to you. So you just put it in your own words. And so unique content, meaning somebody else doesn't have it, is something else the search engines like to see. But you've got a place to start and you can build and grow from there.
Yeah. And I just want to say one more thing about social media that I just thought of. Social media can get overwhelming, and I can do a whole webinar on how to make that a lot easier. I don't spend, I don't spend all day on social media yet. It looks like I'm out there a lot, and there's some, softwares and things you can do to make it a lot easier. But even if you don't think you're going to be involved in social media today, if you come up with a company name and let's say it's ABC Funding, and you find out ABC Funding is not, hasn't been taken on Facebook, or ABC Funding hasn't been taken on Twitter, or whatever it may be, go get it and lock it up with your email and just lock it up. Even if you don't use it, even if you don't broadcast to it, make sure you lock it up and have your name. Because one, you may want to someday, and I highly suspect you will. Or two, you don't want someone else using it and even though it's your name. Because if you build all this leverage and all this, this good promotion here, and someone else has your name on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, which isn't going to help them a ton because they don't have the URL, but it will help them some. It will be a distraction, and you don't really want to get into that down the line.
Yes, and thinking forward, like you mentioned, think about what domain name or URL you want, because when we started out, we were Diversified Investment Services, Inc. And so we went out and got diversifiedinvestment.com, and we still own that. And we quickly realized that it's this very big mouthful and that it was hard to spell and it was long. And so we're like, okay, your domain name does not have to match your company name. That's certainly one idea, one way to do it. But we went with noteinvestor.com. And so that was a nice short catchy URL that is easy to remember. It describes exactly what we do. And so think long range what you want your domain name to be. Make it easy to spell, easy to remember. And if that also matches your company name, great, but it doesn't have to, because the domain name your website URL can be an asset of your company. It doesn't have to match it exactly.
So yeah, exactly. So if you want to see more of these videos, go to noteinvestor.com/101. We've got this is, I think, the 7th one. I know we're doing at least one more that we have planned right away.
We are. Can I talk about it for a second?
Maybe.
Yes. So we're going to go through the top questions you should ask before buying or investing in a note. So we talk about today about marketing, but we're going to kind of deep dive into some of the very specifics of questions you should be able to know the answers to before buying or selling or brokering a real estate note.
And if you want to check out the turnkey sites and, kind of be up and running and get a head start, it's notebuyersites.com. And you can just cruise through there to get ideas of which ones you can buy or ideas for just building your own, and take a look at the ideas. Now, don't take our content, but certainly,
unless you buy something,
but certainly take a look at the ideas behind it. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all the comments since we did the one-on-one series. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and share with a friend.
Yeah, you'll be notified of when we go live next week.
That's right. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Happy note investing.